My vertical jump journey has been all over the place. It started back in 2020, but I only started to take it seriously in March 2021. I started with about a 25 to 26 inch vertical, and I was someone who's never touched the rim of any court ever. I didn't have the greatest genetics, and I was never the greatest athlete. I wasn't even a good athlete. I'm 5'7" with a short wingspan. I was never great in any sport, and I got cut from a lot of teams. The only thing I had going for myself was that I was pretty fast. I ran 11 seconds in the 100 meters, which isn't bad, but that speed didn't translate well into jumping. How I started training for vertical jump was grabbing random exercises off of Google and YouTube and using that. I had no idea why they worked or how they worked. I just believed it. I had no knowledge of athletic training or vertical training, and I had no idea what I was doing. But I still started anyways because I really wanted to achieve this. I started off as a 1 foot jumper just because it was a habit to jump off one with the ball, since that's how I take my layups. Eventually I changed to a 2 foot approach because I realized that I jump higher with it. Disclaimer, this doesn't mean you should change your 1 foot approach to a 2 foot approach if you're a 1 foot jumper. I just found out that being untrained, that jumping off of 2 helped me jump higher than jumping off of 1. I was just comfortable with jumping off of 1 because I was so used to it. Anyways, I changed to a 2 foot approach, and I needed to get my technique down, which is where Isaiah Rivera's video came into play. He had a step-by-step process of how to get your technique down, starting with a block foot jump, a 2-step approach, a 3-step approach, and a 4-step approach. And this really helped with my penultimate steps, which is probably the most important thing you need to master if you want to jump high. I began to study more about jump training, and I realized that it's more than just plyometrics and random jumping. There's actually science behind it. You got to get strong, which is improving your maximal force production. You got to get powerful and explosive, which is improving your rate of force development. And you got to get fast, which is improving your elasticity and speed. This year, 2021, I finally touched and grabbed the rim for the first time in my life. I could finally see that my hard work was paying off, until I plateaued for about 6 months, and I could do nothing except grab the rim. That was the only thing I could do, and sometimes I wouldn't be able to grab the rim, and it was embarrassing when I failed when people were watching. My vertical stayed the same for that long, and looking back at it, the reason is pretty obvious. I wasn't jumping enough. There was like a whole 3-month stretch where I didn't include a single jump session. I was just focused on working out and doing plyometrics, hoping that I would break my plateau without jumping. Yeah, I was wrong, and if anything, that hurt my vertical jump. When I finally decided to add more jump sessions in my training, I was so uncomfortable when it came to it. I forgot how to jump. It was like I didn't even know how to do my technique. I wasn't jumping as high anymore because I wasn't used to jumping. I was only used to doing explosive training and plyometrics, and I would make any excuse to do those instead rather than going through a jump session. Side note, you shouldn't do that. Don't be embarrassed to have a jump session. If you keep failing, who cares? It's gonna help you in the long run. The best thing you could do if you want to jump high is get comfortable with jumping and master your technique. And you're gonna need to jump a lot in order to do that. Once I got comfortable and started jumping more, that's when I saw huge improvements and broke my plateau. Fast forward to 2022, and I was more obsessed with athletic training, vertical training, and the science behind it. I looked into it in my free time, so I was obsessed to the point where I was prioritizing it over school, which wasn't the smartest idea, not gonna lie, but I couldn't help it. It was the only thing that was on my mind every day. Every time I went to sleep, I dreamed about dunking a basketball. Anyways, I learned and studied from guys like Paul Fabritz, John Evans, Isaiah Rivera, overtime athletes, etc. I also experimented with a lot of different training methods, like French contrast training, which is 4 sets back to back to back to back. I got more consistent with my training. I started to jump more, and I finally got an outdoor hoop, which made it easier to have jump sessions and mini dunk sessions. And in July of 2022, that's when I got my first dunk. This might be the highest I was ever jumping, and I was so happy that I finally did it. It was a dream come true, and I worked my ass off to finally do it. A few months later, I had a bad ankle sprain followed by jumper's knee, which lasted about 3 months. I did a lot of knee strengthening and tendon strengthening with things like isometrics, ATG squats, etc. And I finally cured my knee pain in January 2023. Then I got my first lob dunk, which is one I wanted to start prioritizing. I know I could get higher with a lob since it includes my arm swing, so that's what I've always wanted to do for a long time. And here I am today going through my own program that I've created by myself from all the studying and trial and error that I've gone through. I'm not dunking consistently, so I'm definitely not satisfied with where I am right now. Also, I'm not jumping as high right now just because I'm in the middle of a training cycle and I'm really fatigued. So why did I make this video? What's the point of this video? Well, what I'm trying to prove with this video is that this shit's gonna take a long time, and making excuses is useless. So blaming your genetics for not being able able to reach an athletic milestone is only an excuse not to work as hard. It's not going to do anything for you. If you really want it, you're not going to complain and you're going to find a way. I was 20 years old when I started taking this training seriously, which is really late for most athletes. Then there's guys on social media that have 40-inch verticals in high school. They're 6'4" and have long wingspans. For people like me, who's not that gifted, being 5'7" with a short wingspan, not athletic, late training age, and no knowledge of athletic training whatsoever, I still managed to dunk and get my vertical up by a lot. Just letting you know that the prime training years to get your vertical jump up are 13 to 19 years old, and me being 20 years old when I started, the cards were kind of stacked against me, and I do have regrets that I didn't start earlier. But what can I do now? The past is the past. I can't dwell on it, and I'm happy with how much I've progressed. Just because the cards are stacked against you doesn't mean shit. If you really want it, you're gonna find a way to do it. So just know that if you're a beginner or if you're starting, that's gonna take a while and it's gonna be really hard, especially if you're short. Peace.